Greetings, Warlords. Rodge here. Welcome to Saga Thursday, the show all about the skirmish miniatures game from Studio Tomahawk. We are joined once again by Brit. Brit, how's it going?
Doing really good tonight. How about you, Raj?
Good, good. So you are the host of the Strategicon of Saga podcast down there in Kansas City. So we've seen you before. Glad to see you again. And you are on today to talk about your warband here. So just any warband, but an Age of Magic warband. So pretty darn excited about that. You're the first one to take me up on the offer for Age of Magic. So this is going to be pretty cool, pretty exciting.
Yeah.
And you've got a couple other warbands. What made you decide? The Indians won some awards. You did the big display board. You're no stranger to some high hobby aspirations and execution on that. So why did you want to share the Age of Magic troops today?
Yeah, so like I said, this to me, as we talk about Magic and Saga, this is an area where I think you can really have some fun with it. You can have a lot of you don't have to go buy all the historical books and try to paint super detailed to do I have a fleur-de-lis on here that's perfect? Do I have the colors of Alexander represented? You kind of get to choose your own path. And the warbands are so ambiguous in Age of Magic that it's just okay, this is what they may represent, right? The army that we're going to talk about today is my Horde army. And the Horde, you could say, oh, they're a bunch of goblins, or they're a bunch of orcs, or they're a bunch of, and I chose to do a barbarian army based off my own personal life.
Wow. Some more questions about that. But yeah, your background's kind of interesting. You're of the appropriate age of miniature gaming, historicals, but you're quite new to it, just in the general scheme of things. Although I guess it's been a while now, so how many years under the belt for you?
We're now coming up on 3.5-ish, maybe touching into 4. Geez, that's wild to say.
And you started
go ahead.
With Saga, historical stuff, and then now you dipped. So were these the first fantasy models you ever painted, or had you done anything else?
I had done an undead army, which, as we kind of joke, undead, you paint a bunch of skeletons, you kind of just do the bone primer, you do some wash on them.
That could be pretty darn quick.
And so that was an easy way for me to delve into how to put colors together. How do you kind of get a cohesive theme together? And this was a warband that I wanted. This is my second Age of Magic warband. Maybe to directly answer the question, this is my second Age of Magic warband, but it's one that I'm still painting in. I'm still continuing to grow this warband, and I absolutely love it because it's very personal to me. So this is actually of my personal background painting this warband.
Awesome. Yeah, let's dig into that then. So
yeah.
What do you mean by personal? Warband for you? What do you mean by that?
For me, I'll say when I was a teenager, just kind of finding my way in the world, there was trying to kind of get into some stuff. I did a lot of combat sports growing up, did a lot of played a lot of sports and things like that. And there was this group that was close to us that did there was they kind of did foam sword fighting stuff, and they kind of did kind of Renaissance festival stuff, and I really just thought it was fun because, like I said, I always loved a lot of combat sports, and I ended up going out there to try it out. I've always loved fencing and sword fighting. Even to this day, I do a lot of historical European martial arts. So I do a lot of steel fencing, things like that. And this is where kind of a lot of my love came from, was just getting introduced to a bunch of guys who did this, and they all had backgrounds in fencing and boxing, and they all loved doing it. And so I was a teenager, met a whole ragtag group of guys, and they were when we go out to the Renaissance festivals and dress up and do all of that, it was a bunch of barbarians. And so we had guys who would dress up Stephen Holdeman's on our podcast a whole bunch, probably a huge personality in the world of Saga. That's where I first met him when we were 17. So this point, 20-something years ago.
Did he have the beard then?
He was trying then. He's always had a good beard. I'll give him that. The man's always had a good beard. But he was like in a he was in a black metal band that was like just forming at the time. There was like all these guys of very, very different backgrounds. Like I said, some guys did Olympic fencing, some guys did like the HEMA stuff. Like there's this group called Society for Creative Anachronisms. That's like a historical living history society. And this was kind of a catch-all for guys who we really loved like fighting. And so like we'd come out in like our shorts and t-shirts and like just be out there like just 2-3 days a week practicing and doing a lot of that because we didn't get super deep into it. But actually, as you see behind me, this was the gear, the guy that kind of led the group. His name was Jim. Unfortunately, passed away a few years ago, and he would kind of be the head of it. He was kind of like the big guy, the big personality. And so this warband actually represents, and most of those guys are painted into this warband that I knew from back then.
Dude, that's awesome.
And so the whole theme. So like as we kind of go through, we can kind of chit chat about a lot of these, but that's where like this was a way for me to tie in, and actually as kind of an older guy coming back to it, it's like just a way to revisit something that I really loved. And actually the person that got me into Saga was Stephen Holdeman and Luke Starnes, which are on the podcast. And they're both painted in this warband, and we'll talk about a lot of that. But so that was actually another reason to do it. Is here's the guys that I used to know 20 years ago, getting me into Saga, and I get to paint them into a warband and like have this beautiful, like just really fun, like personal touch to it. And the Horde play style is also like just my play style. So like crash and smash and send it all, and just we're gonna all die, and we're gonna win doing it. So.
All right. Barbarians of the Youth recreated miniature form a couple decades later. So how did you figure out the models that you're going to use? If they're inspired by specific people, could be a challenge depending on like close you want to get or not. So what was your kind of approach to try and
so I kind of had this vision in my head, and then like playing the Horde, I wasn't too worried about making a warband that was like really good, if that makes sense, right? It wasn't like a top tier list. You still play it. I think the Horde is pretty ambiguous with that. So I started researching a lot of like manufacturers, getting from like those guys, and I would have people choose what model they wanted to represent. So I reached out to quite a few of my old friends and said, hey, what model do you want to represent you? And is there like a color scheme you want, or maybe an old picture I'm going to take that I'm going to paint you in?
Nice.
And so that was actually the fun of it, is like I have so many different types of models. Like a lot of these are like the Whiz Kids models that you'll buy for like D&D. And then like some of them are actual, like there's Medberry, or Mears Miniatures, not Medberry, Mears Miniatures, Footsore, and actually Stephen Holdeman actually has a model of him in his whole kit.
A guy that
singing.
is already a miniature for.
And he actually has a miniature of him made, and he's holding an axe. But back in the day, Stephen was really good at using like a spear. That was something he was really well known for. And so I drilled out the axe and put a spear in the hand, and took a picture of him in his full gear when he's singing on stage. And appropriately, the model, I even put like a rock to put a stage on there, to put him on a stage for the model.
Awesome,
and so that's kind of what I did for a lot of the models, is I would reach out to guys and say, hey, is there, if they're a miniature guy or not, or I'd send them a few and say, hey, these are the ones I think that'd be really cool to represent you. Which one do you want?
That's awesome, dude. That's amazing. That's such a cool idea.
Yeah.
Start doing it. I've got a couple leads here. I think the Saga community, there's a Rodge figure. There's a Scott was turned into miniature form.
That would be so good.
You haven't seen it yet, but I've turned
what would you do?
Adam Trunzo into a miniature form as well. He's the Fimble Winter model. So slowly but surely, we're converting ourselves to live on as a piece of metal or resin. That's awesome.
And it's, like I said, it's a fun way to touch back into like some of the moments that you've lived throughout life and people. And it's so good. It's so fun. And so, yeah, there's where a lot of the modeling ideas came from, is just reaching out to guys, or maybe if I don't know or talk to them anymore, right? It's been 15, 20 years. I've seen most of them. Just finding something that to me like represents like who they were, just, the aura about them, or in the colors were chosen off a lot of pictures and stuff like that. So
cool. Well, that's Very cool way to go about assembling a warband. I guess, magic armies are pretty big. That can only take you so far. So what was the idea to fill in the rest or cover,
Yeah.
the rest of the gaps
So
and
I think
stuff?
looking at the Horde board, I think there's a lot of fun. Also knowing some of the guys that play, or some of the guys that I used to hang out with, knowing things that they really loved. Like if you ever kind of like know Steven, he really loves like the Hunnic guys. He really loves a lot of like the step people, and so I figured I had to put some of those guys in there. So I like
All
made some
right.
of the Mongols and put them on these Barghast hounds that just look really cool. But we were known as like the Barbarian Battles crew, is what we were known as. And so I figured what better than like barbarians than a bunch of bears to add into the army, because creatures are also just really good in Age of Magic, period. Um, and so I went to Mears Miniatures and got a bunch of the bears, and then I hand painted our old battle symbol, or like our old flag we used to use to kind of represent the campsite and stuff like that. I actually painted it on the banner that one of the bears is holding. So that's kind of what I did for those, was like barbarians. We like, as you can kind of see the model behind me, this is actually like a black bear. There's the core of that outfit, and then there's like a bunch of leather and stuff like that and horns. And so I figured what more fitting way to do it than find some really cool muscular bears to represent a bunch of barbarians. And Mears Miniatures, if you've ever seen their page, they'll put muscles on anything. So
muscles on the muscles.
They'll put muscles on the muscles, and I figured how more fitting than have a bunch of muscled up barbarians hanging out with like barbarians charging across the table.
That's cool. Yeah, they're great figures. Admired them for years. They're kind of pricey in the historic compared to historical prices, at least.
Yeah.
For fantasy, it's right in there.
They put them on a sale every once in a while, and so I will say I kind of had it in the list. I was slowly getting a lot of the miniatures collected, and then one day I saw he put them on like half price sale to maybe kind of, I assume he's maybe changing the way he does the resin or something like that. And I said, okay, well, that's not going to be a couple $100 purchase. That'll be a $100 purchase, and save quite a bit of money like doing that, buying a bunch of them when they were on sale.
Yeah, and I will say they do have their ranges kind of touch on the Dark Ages, like with some of their factions and stuff. So some of their humans and stuff, like for my very first warband, I used a character model from Mears Miniatures. So, if you have a warlord or heroes or something, I mean, honestly, you probably could build a warband, something from those figs, but just with the scale and how they look, I think they do make good hero models. So consider something for that. Definitely check them out. And then for Age of Magic, the creatures, these are probably all creatures here. So, this is like 3/4 of the warband, and like just in the bear bipeds kind of going on here. It seems like, or at least half the army. So
about and when I played at Adepticon this year, you allowed legendary warbands, and so I ran the Rohirrim's Ruffians, which allows you to take nothing but Hearthguard creatures and like an extra lieutenant.
Nice, dude.
And I said, perfect. How great is that? Instead of just having like 2 or 3 of these units be these guys, it's going to be the whole it's going to be the smallest 8-point warband you've ever seen in your life. There's like 2 points of Hearthguard, 4 points of creatures, a sorcerer model.
Smaller than most historical warbands. That's funny. Yep. Right. So how did you decide on the kind of the paint scheme and the colors? I see this kind of red reoccurring. Is that pulled from like that original banner that you did? Is that kind of the idea?
So that original banner and a lot of the colors that were kind of like themed throughout a lot of the stuff we used to do. Red was always really common. Black was really common. Yellow kind of showed up quite a bit. And so as you actually look through a lot of the, I'll try to get some better close-ups, but a lot of the weapons have like a red handle with yellow, and that was like the way, and I think about I've watched like Scott Durung's been on here quite a few times, and he always kind of talked a lot about it. Either when I got to meet him at Adepticon, he would give me some great painting advice. Putting theme together is a very small little thing to do, and you go, where can I tie all these unique colors, all these things together? And I said, that's going to be it. It's going to be that's the color scheme of all the weapons and like the undertones of a lot of the baggage that they're wearing. And so like a lot of the baubles and stuff on the characters, that was kind of the tie-in color. And then I kind of go as wild as I wanted. As you kind of see like the mounted combo guys. That was more just I wanted to paint Mongol guys, right? Like how cool is it to have like these Horde-ish Mongol guys riding, and then the Barghast hounds are painted off of like what Barghast hounds would look like if you're familiar with like the fantasy creature. And so I kind of try to go off of that, but the central theme was red and yellow.
That's cool. Yeah, that's a great idea. Like with the weapons and the shafts and everything. That's really cool. Yeah, that's a great way. Yeah,
it's just like a small little touch, and and it's easy. Learning to paint yellow was a trick, by the way. I didn't a lot of different ways to paint yellow. I didn't realize how hard it is in the miniature world to paint yellow. Purple or like a pink first, and then the yellow, and it pops.
Yellow?
So that was.
I was going to ask, did you try anything new with the painting for this warband? So it sounds like the yellow was something that you hadn't tried before. Was there anything else that a technique or method or anything that you tried out on these guys?
Yeah, so one of the things that I really wanted, being barbarians, like obviously the goal is to have them in kind of like this wasteland, right? This idea of like this sun-beaten land, and that's where these guys kind of live, and there's not a lot of water. It's like a barren wasteland. And so a couple of things that I actually went to a couple painting classes to learn how to paint skin. It was like light skin specifically like this, right? And so when I was there learning how to make maybe a little more pinkish, like it's sunburnt, right? It's like sunburnt skin.
Yeah.
And so that was one of the things that really learning to do a lot of layers and like learning to kind of like blend and do a lot of skin tone, and specifically skin tone of like guys living out in like the wasteland, right? There are not the wasteland, like a barren land. Was actually really tough. And well, with barbarian models, you're going to get a lot of skin.
Yeah, a lot of opportunity to practice.
A lot of opportunity to practice it. So like I said, I went to a couple painting classes that we have locally. We kind of talk about it on the podcast every once in a while, but we actually have like some Golden Demon winners running around here teaching paint classes.
Oh, nice. That's cool.
And it's so cool. And like, so jumping into the paint side of the hobby, and I'm like wanting to learn how to do shading and blending and like just touching my toe into it. I'm not going to pretend to be great at it, but I think I did a pretty decent job with these guys. And
they're good.
So that was kind of a new technique I really tried to learn, was like how to do really detailed, like multiple layers and skin tone, specifically with like a lot of guys running around without shirts on.
Yeah, I think mission accomplished there. Yeah, definitely all the highlighting and stuff on the skin is good. Tasty. So yeah, the kind of the wasteland thing must have tied into the basing there. What actually is some kind of spackle or
yeah, so what I used, I actually wish I had it
whatever.
With me. It's a couple different things. So actually, speaking of I did a lot of new stuff with this warband to just try it out, right? Like I said, it's kind of I'm new, like you said, I'm 3-4 years into painting, which is not a long time. When I like look at some of the other painters where I'm like, that guy's painted for 40 years. Cool. I have like 40 years of things to learn. So what I did is I used the crackle paste.
Yeah,
I used like the Baron crackle paste, which took a lot to learn how to do. I had quite a few models where it just like falls off because you don't prep the base well enough. And so I did crackle based.
How do you prep the base? What do you have to do?
So what I learned with the base is first you got to wash them. You got to get any of the release agent off of them. Anything that prevents this crackle base from sticking, because it's gonna start really thick and then it's gonna kind of thin out quite a bit, and that's how it crackles. So it was clean the base really well. So here I am washing all these like 25 and like 50 millimeter bases and doing all this stuff, like the rock that Steven's on one of his little bases, like washing a rock a whole bunch and cleaning it and let it dry out well. So going through that, and then also when I start putting any of the like powder on it, you've got to make sure it's completely done doing its process, because if you touch it before it's done too early, that was something I learned, is it fell off a couple times on a few of the models and I had to redo it. which is like the worst, redoing it like the night before you leave town to like come up to Adepticon. I'm here like putting spackle on, hoping it's going to do its job.
I don't need this in my life right now.
Yeah. And then I use like the if you've ever seen the dust, like the powders that you can kind of use for the effects.
Yeah, so like pigment powder type
the
stuff.
pigment powders.
Okay.
So I used a ton of the pigment powders where I would find like 2 different colors of like the red waste and the light brown and put it together. And then I was like, I don't like the way it's too dusty. I don't want it to like, and so actually what you do is you put it on there, and then I would put their varnish on, and it like seals down into it and actually kind of still gives the dusty look. And I really like the way it turned out, where like the color is still there. It kind of changes this flat color of pigment from the crackle base to like now there's like depth and nuance to each model. Doesn't quite look the same.
Yeah, each one
and I don't have to worry about reapplying the dust. So that was actually really cool.
It's cool.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it turned out pretty good, pretty tasty.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't dabbled with those powders a little bit over the years, but I've never, nothing for the last 15 years or so. So
it's like I said, it was a learning curve. The first few models I tested it on, I didn't like it. I couldn't quite get the powder, and then eventually I think I like varnished the character. Like, oh, whoops, I put the powder on before I varnished it, and then it did exactly what I wanted. And I was like, okay, well, that's just how this is going to work from now on. And yeah, so it was kind of a fun little learning curve.
Cool. So at least one of these picks here, I do see a display board. Doesn't looks like it particularly matches necessarily, or yeah. So that's just kind of for something else that.
Yeah, unfortunately, this is as I sit here with a bunch of display boards. Is like every time I make a big display board, actually very happy. My wife actually put one of the display boards in the hallway.
Is that what's on the wall back there? Display boards?
Yeah, so these are all the display boards that I make. So like this is the one from Adepticon for the Viking with the Viking ship in it. This is the what is it? The I did the USA Knights theme for the chivalry guys. This is actually like the Indian one where I had like the Rodge up on the top and like all the units down there. And it was also a doubles display board is what it was. It was meant to be like 2 warbands coming together. I'm in the process. This is where I'll say this warband is still like a labor of love. I'm still trying to figure out, I've made a display board for it. I did not like it at all and like just threw it in the trash. So I don't quite have a full display board for this army yet, despite like I really love what I've done with it.
Did you try to like use the crackle paint for it, or would you not do that? You know, sometimes techniques when you blow them up to like a 2 foot by 2 foot, like 8 square feet or whatever. Doesn't quite work.
The crackle paste is really expensive. That stuff for like a really small jar is like $20 a pop. And so doing a whole display board, I'm not going to spend that much. I love doing display boards and like, and like you said, crackle paste over that large of an area. So I tried a couple different things, just didn't like the way it looked.
Now
I've watched more videos.
Sand or
it's going to be the attempt is kind of some of that stuff. So I try to use some, kind of the standard stuff I have like back here. And I think I'm getting better at display boards too. So kind of coming back to it is going to be the goal. So unfortunately, when I came up to Adepticon, I brought these guys as like, I just can't wait to have fun with them and charge. As we joked, I charge as much as I can. But I don't have a display board yet for them. So, I mean, I did try with like some Sculpt-A-Mold and try to kind of get the colors, and I could just never get the color I could never get it to match the basing. And I was like really kind of disappointed with it. So on a large scale, it was very tough.
I've been there at a old Warhammer army with like cave style basing, and I could not for the life of me really figure out a way to do a display board in that same theme without just an inordinate amount of effort.
Yeah.
I like that's a cool idea, hanging the display boards back there. You should go down to your local hobby shop with your local coffee shop with them and say, hey, can I hang some of my art on your walls and see if they let you hang them up there, snap some pics.
Like I said, my wife snagged one, and I'm very happy when people walk in. They think it's just one of those like little, paint and do things like that.
Interesting, yeah.
And
kind of just
they don't realize like no, that like had my Macedonian army on it. The first attempt I ever had at doing and she just liked the way it looked, so she hung out on the wall. And I said, great idea. Gets them out of the way, right? You build them. What do you do with them afterwards? And so I just nailed them all to the wall.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. Can't really stack them, so great idea.
Mhm.
All right. So
Yep.
we can see you kind of, built this warband just kind of with a fun project to kind of relive some old memories. Does the warband meet
Yeah.
your expectations in the game? Anything you would maybe do differently after playing some actual games with it?
More mounted is kind of the unfortunate
Sure.
struggle with like Horde. Being able to come all the way across the table on somebody doing like the L plus like S charge, I think is what it is. Pulling your foot, it's a little bit harder, but it still works. So I will say at the end of the day, I am actually really happy with the way it plays. I want to build more combo guys, but those take a lot of work because we actually didn't even talk about them too much. The combo guys, they take a lot of work because I have to green stuff these like Mongol warriors onto the Barghast Hound, and
Do
then
the
also painting the
saddles, right?
Barghast. hmm And it's so much work. So I would love to paint more of them because I played this army with like 6-7 points of combo warriors in them, and it is so ballistically fun.
Wow.
There's just stuff shooting everywhere. There's stuff charging all the way across the board, and it's actually a pretty good list. So I'm actually really happy with where it's gone. I will say that I'm very happy with kind of the build I have right now for it. I think it did well. I was on like the second to top table here at Adepticon. Granted, I was with like the legendary warband. And kind of comically, my opponent kind of got charged by one of the creatures in the scenario right off the bat and kind of withdrew a little bit. And I was sitting there saying, I don't want to get out of this game without like 10 charges. So I just sent it all. And as I joked, my goal was to do 20 charges in a single game. I think it was 20. And I missed it by like 2. I was pretty upset.
Gosh,
I got 18
is a
charges in
lot.
like 2.5 rounds.
Probably the only warband that really has a shot at doing that. But that's awesome, dude.
It's like once, yeah. So it's a good warband. I mean, I won with it quite a bit. It's just Horde can be tough sometimes. So
for the Hearthguard here, so these represent people in real life and from your past. So when you're removing casualties, how do you decide who bites the bullet? Is there any thought process to that?
That's actually a really tough one. Usually the Hearthguard will always go for the Warlord to stay on the table, considering he's like the guy that many of us like really have a lot of memory of. Like I said, I even like repaired the bear that's sitting down here next to my hobby space. So Hearthguard, if you're near the Warlord who gets charged, you're going.
Okay.
And that's maybe kind of the only. I don't know if I have any favorites that go, or least favorite that go first.
Okay. Right. So you kind of hinted at it, but it sounds like maybe you do have some future plans for this warband, or not.
Like I said, I have actually. As we look at, why can I not remember you actually remembered and you saw them the first time I ever posted about them, because I built this for the Patreon paint challenge a couple times ago. The Barghast Hounds, and I cannot remember why. Steery War? No, it's not Steery War. I can't remember.
I think like Puppet War. I believe it's like Puppet War.
Puppets War. Yeah, there you go. Puppets War is who makes like these models. My buddy, he bought like a big order years ago, and they sent him like 100. Like I was like 200 of these, and like 5 of them is like $25. And so I actually have like another 100 of these sitting in my closet.
Gosh.
And I plan to finish painting and building all of them. But the Mongol guys, and these Mongol guys were like super bobble heavy. They look very almost fantasy-esque, and so they fit perfectly. So that's the goal, is to finish making this all mounted. The creatures you can run as like quadruped or biped, and most people don't care. But that's kind of the future plans, is to finally build a huge display board for them, and then actually like make 6 points of mounted combo Barghast Hounds with Mongols on them.
Cool. Yeah, that would be amazing. Yeah. Like the 6 or 7 points of combo. Warriors, you meant it. You meant it.
Yeah, and that's actually sorry. It's one thing I don't know if it maybe be fair to touch on too is
Yeah, whatever.
a couple of the you always have us do objective markers when we come up to Adepticon,
Yeah.
and so I put the objective markers in here. And sorry, just thinking of the theme of this army, it's a very much like people I've met in my life that are kind of close to this. And the first year I painted these guys, we went up to Adepticon, and I laughed as I painted these, assuming you were going to have Age of Magic, and then there was no Age of Magic. And one of the players, Richard Grady, was kind enough to do a whole evening Age of Magic, and so I finally got to get these guys on the tabletop and just have a lot of fun. And he painted these little owls as all the objective markers. And so to come back up this year, since I knew Richard Grady was having some stuff go on and he wasn't able to make it, I put these as kind of like part of that touch into the warband too. So like the objective markers,
that's cool.
that are on here are kind of like a and the warrior spirit was the other thing that's in there. So the objective markers are the warrior spirit, right? The ethos of the barbarian warrior. Is like this translucent character,
like a fire elemental figure, kind of.
Yeah, he's supposed to be kind of like embodying that warrior spirit. So there you go. Objective marker wise, that's the last one to get pulled off the table. But so that was kind of some of the fun touches, maybe to build some more of the objective markers, kind of with some of those personal touches that are just kind of little random things. And then to finish the display and paint a ton of mounted combo guys for this army.
Yeah, that sounds good. Wow. Yeah, probably sounds like the bulk of the warband is yet in your future as far as the labor goes, maybe. But yeah, that'd be cool to see. I think the ones that you did already look pretty cool. Pretty scary, honestly. There's a Vargas or is it Barghest or Vargas? What
Vargas, maybe. I wish I probably should look that up a lot. I have so many of them. But I actually used your painting scheme on how to do the Barghast towns. It's not like a painting scheme. It was how you paint horses. You have this like way you do the inks. Okay. And so what I did is I would put the base coat on them. Then like I only added like purple, a little touch of purple to it, and use the same way you do your wash that you build for the horses. I was like half trying to figure out this really cool wash at the same time, and then you put out the horse video, and I said, "There it is, there it is."
Yeah, they're kind of big, muscly things, not unlike a horse, but this one's a little more brutal.
Yeah, I figured they sell the Horde theme really cool.
They don't exist in real life.
Cool. And I know a lot of guys use like their Hun models for it, which is fine. I just like you got to go all in and have some fun.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, yeah, thank you for coming on and sharing all this. It's been great to hear. Very cool theme. It's honestly got some juices flowing for me here. Hey, can I do a warband? And some folks I know. I really like that. I think that's a cool idea.
Yeah.
3D sculpting and stuff easier than ever. You know.
Oh yeah, it is. That'd be really cool.
Just drop 5 years of Patreon money to get a 3D scanning device or something at the next tournament to scan everybody. That's interesting. But yeah, very cool to hear about everything you've done here, the extra touches, and I think it's a cool looking force, and it definitely kind of shows what you can do with Age of Magic. You're not limited to one specific archetype or trope or anything like that. I mean, these are barbarians, but they're Brit barbarians. Now, is there a Brit? Are you one of these models?
I am one of these models. I have them sitting next to me. This is, I don't know if you can see it very well.
Yeah, I figured that. I just had a hunch that
I have like a whole kit that I wear that's like a whole barbarian outfit and everything too. That's when I saw that model, I went, nope, there it is. There's me. And then I just like green stuff the club. I always like thought it'd be fun to just like carry a club.
Would you wield a club in those times?
I always really enjoy like wielding. I love long sword and like great sword stuff. And so it's just kind of like in that realm of like just a big giant club.
Very cool.
And,
awesome. Oh, yeah. Thanks for sharing everything. And yeah, I think good looking for us. Do want to
Thank you.
Thank Sean, Patrick, Mitchell, Scott, Brit, that's you, DJ, Robin, Damien, Callan, and Cruz, and the rest of the Saga Thursday patrons. I would not be able to do a video every week in 2025 without their support. Brit, you were on that list. Thank you, sir. And thank you for volunteering to share your army. Hopefully, we'll inspire others to build their Age of Magic warbands and maybe come on and show them off, because this is cool. Yeah, I really didn't know what to expect. I knew you had them and were building them for that ACON a couple of years ago, and you had a million of those beasts to use up. But I hadn't really sat down and taken a close look at them. So, yeah, like what I see, man. Well done.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much.
Right.
It's a lot of fun to show them off. So.
Yeah, if anybody has any questions about the models you used, obviously, for the barbarians, there's quite a plethora of figures used. But if anything caught somebody's fancy, definitely comment below. I'll chime in. I'll ping him if he doesn't. Or if there's questions on techniques, the basing, colors, people always want to know the exact color.
Yeah.
Get that bottle of red paint handy for when this goes out, so you can tell everybody exactly what red paint that is. Seems to be something people want to know. But yeah. And that is going to be it for this one, though. It was a lot of fun. Hopefully, everybody found it interesting, and we'll do it again sometime. All right. I'll check you later, Brett. Have a good one.
Yeah, thank you. Yep.
Bye-bye. Saga! If you'd like to see more Saga content, consider joining the Heathen Army over on Patreon, or popping on down to the Saga Thursday Discord server. Links below. Thanks, guys.